grade 8. We're going to do some more work on fractions today. You can see I have some things out on my counter because I'm going to make some cookies later. And with cookies we have fractions as well. For example, for chocolate chip cookies, I have to put in 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar and a 1/2 cup of white sugar. But if I want to make them for all my classes at school, which I do, I'm going to have more than one batch. So I'm going to have to multiply my numbers of, for example, brown sugar, 3/4, I'd probably have to make 3 batches or 4 batches, so 4 times 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, and figure out how much brown sugar I actually need to make that many cookies. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go into the concept of area model for fraction multiplication, proper fraction by proper fraction. So that's what we're going to do, and I'll start on the cookies later. So let's go over to the easel. Alright, you'll remember before, probably in grade 3 or grade 4, you learned about multiplication of whole numbers. For example, 6 times 4. And what we started out with when we first learned about it was area model. And what we would take, if you'll remember, we would have 6 1-unit blocks. And 4 in the other direction. And then we would multiply them together, and we'd end up with all the blocks for each one as 1 by 1, and we do them all out. We'd end up with a rectangle, a large rectangle that would be the dimensions of 6 times 4. So this is the rectangle that we would have ended up with for 6 on here and 4 here, and we would have counted them all up and found that we had 24. And then we would know that 6 times 4 is 24. And you'll also remember that we learned a way of saying what this means. That this is 6 groups of 4. So 6 of 4. 6 groups of 4. Well, when we're multiplying fractions, we use the same principle. Let's have a look. The thing about multiplication of fractions, however, is when we multiply 2 whole numbers together. When we multiply 2 whole numbers together, we always get a number that's bigger, right? Because we have 6 groups of 4, we get 24. When we have 3 groups of 9, we get 27. But when we multiply 2/3, for example, by 1/4, we get a number that's less than 1. And that's sometimes hard for us to figure out, but the area model helps us to do that quite well and get the concept really well. So let's try one, okay? So here we have 1/3 times or multiplied by 3/4. And we said this is the same thing as saying 1/3 of 3/4. So what we're trying to find is what is 1/3 of 3/4. So we're going to start with a rectangle first. And since we're trying to find something of 3/4, our rectangle is going to be of 3/4. So let's make this rectangle into 4, so I like to divide it in half and then divide those 2 in half again. And 3/4, let's get a color so we can see this better, will be 3 of these, won't it? So we'll color off 3 of these. Alright, now we need to find 1/3 of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw horizontal lines in the other direction and split this rectangle into thirds horizontally. So let's split it into thirds horizontally, and we're going to make our line go all the way across so we know how much each part will be in the end. Alright, so here we have it divided in thirds. Now it says we want 1/3 of this 3/4. So 1/3 of that 3/4, there's 3 of them, so 1/3 would be 1 of them. So let's color off 1/3. Now to find the product of these two fractions, what we do is the product is the part where the two colors, the green and the orange, overlap. That's our product. Okay, so our product equals the overlapping parts over the number of parts. Okay, so how do we know how many numbers of parts? Well, we can see we have 3 in this direction. We have 4 in this direction, or we could just count them as well. Or we could use what we learned in just our whole number multiplication. 3 times 4 is 12, so we have 12 parts. So our product, we know we have 12 parts now. And how many parts overlap? 1, 2, 3. 3. So our product is 3/12. You could simplify that if you wanted to 1/4. But this would be the correct answer as well, so let's write that in. 1/3 times 3/4 is 3/12 or 1/4. All right, I'm going to get you to try one. So you grab a piece, just pause the video for a minute, grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and I'd like you to try this one. This one is 2/3 times 1/5. So I'll give you a second to try that and then come on back. All right, welcome back. Let's give this one a try. So again, this is 2/3 of 1/5. Okay, so it's of 1/5, so let's draw our rectangle divided into fifths. And when I draw it in fifths, I always draw one down here, and then I split this one in half. It's not perfect, but it works slightly. So we have 5 parts, and we want to color 1/5. So let's color off 1/5. So there's 1/5. All right, so we want 2/3 of that. So let us take this and let's divide it horizontally into thirds. So I'll use my black marker for that so you can see that well. There we go. So now we have it horizontally divided into thirds. All right, so we need 2/3 of this 1/5. So 2/3 would be 2 sections, wouldn't it? So let's color those off. Now, you'll remember that our product is where they overlap, and our denominator is the total number of parts. So our total number of parts, 3 this way, 5 this way, so that gives us 15 parts. So there's 15 parts. So our product is the number of overlapping parts, which is 2, over our total number of parts, which is 15. So that is our answer. The product of 2/3 and 1/5 is 2/15. Now in your flip grid lesson this week, you will find in the extra attachments, you'll find 3 problems like this. And what I want you to do in your video response is to use the whiteboard or the blackboard and draw out the rectangle solution to the problem and tell me your strategy and how you went about solving each of them. If you could do that, you can use stickers, you can use the sticky notes to remind yourselves what you want to say. You can use the whiteboard or the blackboard, and I look forward to seeing your videos. There's also some extra things there for you to do, just some interest things for you to do at home. And there's also some audiobooks, free audiobooks, because I'd really like you to do some reading. And why don't you tell me what of the books you're reading at home? Because I'd like to hear what everyone's doing in their reading life these days. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.